You think you choose your actions. You believe there's a clear moment where you decide, yes or no, act or stop, speak or stay silent. But that moment is a lie. Before you're aware of a thought, your body has already reacted. Before you feel certain, an impulse has already fired. Before you say, "This is my decision," something inside you has already moved. And the part choosing isn't the one you trust. You call it instinct. You call it intuition. You call it a gut feeling. But what if it's none of those? What if the force guiding your life isn't conscious, moral, or rational, but hidden, denied, and emotionally charged? This is where free will collapses. Because the mind doesn't operate in the order you were taught. Conscious thought comes after action, not before. Awareness arrives late, like a narrator explaining a decision that's already been made. Free will feels real because the explanation feels convincing. But beneath that explanation is
something older, darker, and faster. Your shadow has already decided. And if that idea makes you uncomfortable, defensive, or angry, that reaction isn't random. It's proof you're getting close. You believe you decide what you do. That belief is comforting. It gives you a sense of control, responsibility, and identity. But neuroscience, psychology, and lived experience quietly disagree. Your brain reacts milliseconds before you become aware of a choice. Emotions fire before logic arrives. Your body moves before your mind explains why. Consciousness doesn't lead, it follows. Your conscious mind doesn't choose, it justifies. It builds stories after the fact. I fell in love. I lost motivation. I snapped because I was tired. These explanations feel true, but they're incomplete. What really happened is this. A hidden emotional pattern activated first. A buried need, fear, or desire made the move. And your shadow, the part of you you don't identify with, stepped in silently. Free will exists only after the decision, as a narrative that protects your self-image. This is why you repeat patterns you swear you'll stop. Why insight doesn't automatically change behavior. Why knowing better doesn't mean doing better. If awareness alone created freedom, everyone would be free. The truth is harder. You're not choosing as often as you think. You're explaining choices that were already made. And the one making them isn't visible. The shadow is not evil. It's not some dark monster hiding inside you. It's far more personal than that. Your shadow is everything you learned to suppress in order to be accepted. Anger that was called bad. Desire that was called selfish. Confidence that was labeled arrogance. Neediness that was shamed. So you adapted. You learned which parts of yourself were allowed and which parts had to disappear. But they didn't disappear. They went underground. The shadow is the emotional storage of everything you disown to survive. And what's buried doesn't stay silent. It waits. From the shadows, it influences. Who you feel instantly drawn to. What triggers you irrationally. Why certain people annoy you more than they should. Why success sometimes makes you uncomfortable. You think you're calm, but your shadow is watching for disrespect. You think you're kind, but your shadow remembers every time you felt powerless. The shadow doesn't care about your values. It cares about unmet needs. And when those needs aren't acknowledged consciously, they control you unconsciously. That's not weakness. That's how the psyche protects itself. Your shadow doesn't ask permission. It doesn't wait for logic. It doesn't explain itself. It moves fast, through emotion,
impulse, and reaction. Sudden urges you can't explain. Emotional overreactions that feel out of proportion. Self-sabotage that appears right when things start going well. Patterns you swear you'll stop, but don't. These aren't accidents. You don't ruin relationships randomly. You don't procrastinate for no reason. You don't keep choosing the same type of person by coincidence. Your shadow makes the move first. Then your conscious mind arrives late and says, "This is what I wanted. This makes sense. I had no choice." That's not free will. That's damage control. The conscious mind is like a lawyer defending decisions it didn't make. Its job is to preserve your self-image, not expose the truth. The shadow chooses based on emotional memory, not logic. It reacts to past wounds as if they're happening now. It protects you in ways that once worked, even if they now destroy you. Until you see this, you'll keep mistaking reaction for choice. The moment you truly see this, something breaks. Not outside you, inside you. Because awareness removes comfort. Now you can't fully blame others. You can't hide behind excuses. You can't pretend you're completely in control. And that hurts. This is why most people reject shadow work. Not because it's fake, but because it removes innocence. Ignorance feels like freedom. You can say, "That's just how I am." You can stay unconscious without guilt. Awareness feels like responsibility. Once you see your patterns, you can't unsee them. Once you notice your triggers, they expose you. Once you recognize your shadow, excuses stop working. And the ego hates that. The ego would rather believe in free will as a myth of purity than accept freedom as a discipline of honesty. This pain isn't punishment. It's friction, the cost of waking up. You feel uncomfortable not because something is wrong, but because something false is dying. And what replaces it isn't comfort. It's truth. You don't gain free will by fighting the shadow. You gain it by facing it. Suppression strengthens it. Denial feeds it. Moralizing it makes it smarter. Integration weakens it. Start here. What emotion do you judge the most in others? What behavior instantly irritates you? What desire scares you to admit, even to yourself? That's not coincidence. That's projection. Those reactions point directly to your shadow. When you bring those traits into awareness, without acting them out or denying them, they lose their grip. The shadow only controls what remains unconscious. The moment you say, "Yes, this exists in me," it stops needing to hijack your behavior to be seen. Not instantly, not comfortably, but honestly. Freedom isn't about choosing perfectly. It's about seeing clearly. And clarity is the only real choice you have.